Tonight, if you've not been jabbed, prepare for delays. Health Ministry gives Fijians reassurance. And Tambuya ready to work with Rambuka in 2022.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Bulawanaka, Fiji. The second batch of COVID-19 vaccines under the COVAX facility will take longer to arrive than earlier anticipated. The United Nations Fiji office has confirmed they were hoping to receive the shipment by the end of the month, but this will now not be possible. This means those who miss out on getting vaccinated this time around will have to wait a little longer. Kritika Kumar joins us live now. Kritika, what does the UN have to say about the delay?
Edwin, I spoke exclusively to the UN Resident Coordinator Sanaka Samarasina, who has confirmed that they are finding difficulties and are facing challenges in obtaining the second batch of COVID-19 vaccine due to production issues. The UN has been influential in helping Fiji secure 100,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine under the COVAX facility. Samarasina has assured once the vaccine is available, they are going to put in the request on Fiji's behalf.
There is no precise date when the second batch will be available for Fiji.
We were only able to get 12,000 in so far. We had hoped to have the second batch in by now, by the end of April, several more thousand. But there were some challenges with the production line, and so as a result it has been delayed.
There is no precise date when the second batch will be available for Fiji. The first shipment of 12,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine was received last month, and Sanaka Samarasina says the UN office here is in constant contact with manufacturers to see when we can expect another batch. In the meantime, he has encouraged Fijians to get the jab.
As the vaccines come in, it's available now, go get it, get the jab now. Look at me, I have taken the vaccine 2 days ago. I look as bright as the sun.
The International Labour Organization adds, Fijians getting vaccinated will positively impact the employment sector.
Indirectly and directly, the vaccination process in Fiji and across in the neighboring countries and will actually have a positive impact on the economic situation in these countries.
Fijians are now becoming more eager to get the vaccine after the misinformation was cleared up. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Every Fijian who's received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine has their second dose stored away by the Health Ministry. Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wangainambete confirmed to FBC News that these will be administered 3 months from when the Fijians received their first jab. Jeshulal reports the Health Ministry is working to administer all available COVID-19 vaccines by Saturday.
Based on current projections, the Health Ministry should complete administering their first dose of vaccine in 2 days.
We are likely and we are hoping, we want to be able to complete it by Sunday. As we've alluded to, what we want to do is then have the ability to have 8 to 12 weeks, that's been shown to be able to give the most benefit for the second dose. So that's the whole aim of the exercise.
That the country needs more vaccines, and I'm sure the government on its own level are talking to other embassies and high commissions as to the need for the vaccines in the country.
The second dose of the vaccine is in cold storage until recipients become eligible for their second shot.
When we, for example, when we had the 12,000 doses that came initially, so there was 6,200, meaning that the 6,200, we kept the other 6,200 doses. And those 50,000 that will be vaccinated now, we will keep the other 50,000 of the total 100,000 doses.
More than 50,000 Fijians so far have registered under the Health Ministry's vaccination registration online platform. Jeshulal, FBC News.
And Jeshu joins us live now from one of the vaccination venues. Jeshu, how many registered Fijians have received their vaccination already?
Edwin, according to the Health Minister, as of last night, about 9,000 Fijians have been vaccinated. Based on the increase in the number of Fijians turning up to receive their jabs, the Health Ministry is projecting that over 50,000 people who have registered will have been vaccinated. The national target is more than 650,000 Fijians vaccinated when the entire program is over. Edwin.
Thank you, Jeshu. President Major General retired Chochi Konrote received his first jab of the AstraZeneca vaccine from the Ministry of Health officials this morning. The head of state has also called on all Fijians above the age of 18 to come forward and register for the COVID-19 vaccine. He's thanked the government and officials at the Ministry of Health for providing the vaccine for all Fijians. First Lady Madam Sarote Konrote and staff of the Office of the President also received their vaccination. On to other news, Sodelpa parliamentarian Linda Tambuya has made it clear that time will tell if she stays on with Sodelpa or moves on to join another party. Lina Rees reports Tambuya has not ruled out the possibility of joining her former leader Sitivini Rambuka's proposed political party.
Linda Tambuya confirms she has been approached by a team that works around the former Sodelpa leader. However, there have been no direct talks with Rambuka to join his proposed political party.
Not directly with Mr. Rambuka, but there are those that work around him that have approached me. There are also those in other political parties that have approached me.
Rambuka says he does not want to jeopardize Tambuya's position as a senior member of the Sodelpa caucus.
For her, the easiest person to work with out of parliament or in another party would be me. And that's my view, not hers. Make that very clear.
Tambuya stresses that if she is to join any other party or remain within Sodelpa, she would demand the same thing, and that is for the people to be aptly represented within the party. Lina Rees, FBC News.
Up ahead, bridging the gap forum to address work needs. And fattening the undersized crabs. We tell you how after the break. Welcome back. Undersized crabs confiscated during market inspections are now being housed at a fattening facility in Navua. Fisheries Minister Semikoro Ilavisau says it's been found that when these crabs are released, they are recaptured and put back in the market for sale. Kelly Vadala reports.
In an effort to ensure these undersized crabs reach their legal size, the Fisheries Ministry has developed a new solution.
And actually put them in our ponds, so that they can be fattened and then they can be utilized later.
Minister Semikoro Ilavisau says these crabs need a safe environment to breed and grow into its required size.
We found that when we confiscate undersized crab and we release it back then to the wild, we've tested and found that the people in the surrounding areas have gone out and caught it again.
Fishing communities in the islands have also developed marine protected areas that will sustain ocean resources, one being crabs.
Kanda is in island 2, which has almost a marine protected area. We have about 60, more than 60.
The ministry's enforcement units issue a fine as a last resort. The goal is to educate fishermen and vendors on the law that is in place to enable sustainable fishing. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
The first ever Higher Education Forum next week will look at how to bridge the gap between tertiary institutions and the workforce. Fiji Higher Education Commission Acting Chief Executive Vijay Naidu says the forum will help realign programs and courses to meet the labor needs of various industries. Sainya Nimboila reports.
Industry stakeholders will join hands to try and fill the void in the workforce.
Industry has got a lot of skill gaps, and they require the higher education institutions to meet with them so that they could fill in those skill gaps.
The commission, which regulates 42 tertiary institutions, says the forum will help ensure that all education providers meet quality standards.
We need the higher education institutions to talk to industry so that the two can sit in the same room, thresh out any issues they might have, and for the betterment of the nation, for the betterment of the country, find those links.
The industry is the recipient of all training programs that the registered training organizations like FNU, USP and other universities they provide, and therefore it is important that the industry has some stake in the game so that they can contribute to what their expectations are.
The forum next week will include higher education institutions, industries and the commission. The outcome of the forum will help re-evaluate courses, at the same time look for job opportunities. Sainian Imboila, FBC News.
The police officer who formerly charged Congo national Henry Lusaka with murder will take the stand tomorrow. 39-year-old Lusaka is charged with 1 count of murder. He allegedly killed his Australian wife Jennifer Ann Downs in July 2019 at their rented home on Service Street in Suva. The matter was adjourned yesterday as the defense had asked for time to review evidence that was heard in court yesterday. The defense informed the court that they've spoken to the accused and tomorrow she will be meeting with the doctor who'd taken care of Lusaka when he was admitted in hospital following the alleged incident. The trial resumes tomorrow. Still to come, never seen photos of the late Duke released. And later in sports, we catch up with Nanonga Rugby's new star.
A number of Namaka market vendors in Nandi have revealed that at times they give their produce out for free as they are not able to sell it. This has been a major issue this year for them as they struggle to record sales daily. Felipe Naikaso caught up with the vendors earlier today.
Nearly every week, the majority of these vendors have been recording a loss as sales continue to plummet.
If our relatives or some customers, they just passed by, we just give them free to them, or otherwise we have to throw in the rubbish. So we lost our income.
The vendors have noticed that at times they hardly have anyone coming into the market, which is due to the high unemployment rate caused by the pandemic. Produce are stocked up, however, there's no customers.
Very slack now this time. Very hard to find the customers to sell the fish.
For majority of vendors at the Namaka market, this is their only source of income for their families, and they will ensure that their produce is sold daily.
Well, we have our fingers crossed and hoping for the best, and in the meantime we just do what we have to do to survive.
They've also told us that despite the problems they are facing, they will continue to sell at the market as it's better than doing nothing. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
Shareholders of Papua New Guinea-based Kina Securities Limited have voted in favor of buying Westpac PNG and Westpac Fiji. An extraordinary general meeting was held in Port Moresby this morning. Kina Securities Chief Executive Craig Pawson says this is a great show of confidence by the shareholders, and the newly branded independent bank will compete directly with commercial banks in Fiji. Kina Securities says it will reprice business lending, making it more cost-effective and lower the cost of banking. The acquisition is subject of regulatory approval in both Fiji and PNG. Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The world's money markets change rapidly in these times. The Fiji dollar has almost reversed its position from yesterday, gaining on the Chinese yuan, the US greenback, the Kina, the euro, and the Japanese yen, but showing a minor decline versus the Aussie and Kiwi dollars. Prices on the commodities market were mixed. The price of crude oil rose sharply to over $63 per barrel. Gold was down $1 at $1,737 per ounce, and silver was fairly steady at $25.48 per ounce. Sanifa joins us now with the latest from the money markets.
Good evening. Recent strong employment data has lifted the Aussie dollar to a multi-day high. Australia's unemployment rate fell to 5.6% in March from 5.8%. As the lowest jobless rate since March 2020, it indicates that to some extent the economy is recovering from the pandemic. March employment grew by more than 70,000, beating the market expectations of 35,000. On the other hand, the Bank of Japan governor expressed his concerns on the prospect of a faster economic recovery anytime soon in the wake of the renewed curbs on economic activity to deal with the resurgence of COVID-19. Considering the market optimism and the weaker US dollar, not to forget the recent Aussie employment data, Traders are positive about what they are going to hear when the U.S. retail sales figures for March and the weekly unemployment data are released later tonight. That's all for now from your HFC Bank. Vinaka.
Superdrug Pharmacy has today donated 10 wheelchairs to the Health Ministry. Pharmacy Director Abe Nan says they had noticed the need of wheelchairs in hospitals for the disabled. He says health teams will distribute it to areas that need it the most.
10 wheelchairs to the Ministry of Health with some face masks because we thought it was very much needed with the hospitals. So we gave it to the Ministry of Health, and the Minister of Health received it, and they can distribute anywhere they want it. We have not put any restrictions in there.
That is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, we visit a school in the Singatoka Highlands which will surprise you.
Welcome back. Forest and marine restoration, regeneration and the formalization of a deed of trust are some of the key points deliberated between 13 traditional district chiefs of Laos. A training session facilitated by Conservation International Fiji aims to highlight the need to support the province and better manage marine and forest resources. Director Mirela Kemba says also part of the session was a sandalwood tree planting demonstration by the Ministry of Forestry.
Of course, we have our government partners who are also part of this Laos Seascape initiative that have come together this week to provide the much needed information and build the capacity for our communities and our traditional leaders to understand a little bit more about resource management from a reach to reef to ocean approach.
The Donua District School Committee in Singatoka has stressed that they do not wait for the government to always assist in the effective implementation of various projects at the school. Head teacher Asivurisi Toviri says considering the current economic situation posed by COVID-19, they take matters into their own hands with great support from the community and various corporate bodies. Josiah Nanunga has more.
Situated in a close-knit setting along the Singatoka Valley, one would never expect to see the standard facilities such as those at the school when compared to those in urban centers, signaling how the people of the Nua value education.
The improved facilities that we have, and also improves the academic achievement in the school.
The school, as well as community members, are working towards building additional teachers' quarters as they are in dire need of teachers to accommodate the increasing number of students.
We also find out that most of the children who are going to the primary school in Singatoka town, they are now coming to our school, and the numbers has been increasing.
The school and All Scholars Committee have organized an annual fundraising activity next week. This is an alternative that will guarantee adequate financial footing for further infrastructure development within the school.
We have organized a bazaar and reunion next week. Funds raised will assist the committee to construct extra teachers' quarters.
170 pupils have been enrolled at the school this year. Josiah Nanunga, FBC News.
And as confirmed earlier, the United Nations has said that the next batch of AstraZeneca vaccines are delayed. Here's Kritika Kumar speaking once again with Sanaka Samharasina.
So what do you think about the Fijians' uptake of the vaccine in the recent days?
I'm very pleased to see that in the last few days there's been a significant increase and I think a better understanding amongst the general population that this vaccine is something that is a must, really. I mean, of course, it's not compulsory. It's up to people to make that choice. But I think they're making the right choice, and I'm very pleased to see that.
How much more vaccine can the UN provide for Fijians under the COVAX facility?
So 630,000 people are eligible to be vaccinated in Fiji. Those are citizens, and probably another 20,000 or so permit holders, residents. So we're talking 650,000. That's 20% of that population is the hope. It's going to be well over 100,000 people that we will be able to vaccinate eventually when all of the COVAX supplies come into Fiji.
There is still misinformation around the vaccine. Do you think it is scaring people away from the vaccinations?
Indeed, there is misinformation, especially on social media, and I have worked very closely along with my team from WHO and UNICEF and other UN agencies, with the government, with media organizations like yourself, to ensure that the right information gets to people. But we need to get out into the communities, we need to sit with people, we need to listen to them, because they have fears, they have concerns. We have a challenge here in Fiji in some ways because of the success of Fiji dealing with COVID-19.
And Jamie is next with the latest in sports.
Thank you, Edwin, and good evening. Ahead in sports, Drua ready to set sail, and call made to bring back certain events, the Fiji finals. This and more coming up. The Fijian Drua will need about $5 million by July 30th before getting the final go-ahead for its Super Rugby journey. However, the team spearheading the endeavour is confident all boxes will be ticked well before then. Aquila Dama with the details.
The dream of playing with the big boys will soon come true. But first, we need money, and lots of it.
But equally importantly, they wanted teams to have the financial backing to ensure they can sustain themselves over a long period of time.
The Drua may be sailing in unknown waters at the moment, but are confident to meet the July deadline.
Our discussions with private investors is way down the line. We won't be in this position having a team if New Zealand Rugby felt that our model and our discussions with our investors wouldn't be sustainable.
Scores! FRU knows the risk they are taking, and that's why they are a step ahead.
If everything falls into place, money will not be the issue for the Drua team. It's a separate company.
Many have sacrificed a lot to get Pacific Rugby recognized 25 years after the sport turned professional.
And there was a real battle going on behind the scenes. Everyone was trying to find a place in professional rugby, but unfortunately the Pacific Islands got left out.
However, now we are finally on the winning side.
Celebrations and probably dancing on the streets of many of the villages out there in the Pacific.
I am absolutely chuffed.
We can celebrate for now, but the game is not over yet. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
He's been a part of the Nandrunga squad over the last 3 seasons, but many didn't know of his super talent until he was unleashed in the win against the Suva last Saturday. Panapasa Ngerungeru is now a household name following his valiant performance against the Suva in the first round of the Skipper Cup competition. Josiah Nanunga with this report.
Ngerungeru's soccer skills were acquired from his high school days before trying out for the Nandrunga under-20 team in 2018.
I always played soccer since primary school, but I was more interested in rugby. I always admire how former Nandrunga ruggers played. I want to thank the Lord for his provision that paved the way for me to train alongside some prominent players.
Many didn't know that it was the first time for this Emuri Nandrunga native to play at Fiji's biggest sporting venue.
That was the first time for me to play at the ANZ Stadium, and I always look up to some prominent super players, but I'm proud that I never lose focus that made me contribute to Nandro's win last Saturday.
Team manager Semi Dhambenalotu says they were not surprised with Ngerungeru's performance and expectations are high over the next few games.
Right now the team is ironing out issues that were noted from last Saturday's match. Competition is intense right now as we try to select the team to represent Nanrunga against Namosi.
Ngeru will surely be a marked man when Nanrunga takes on Namosi at Thompson Park in Nabua at 3 p.m. this Saturday. Josayena Nunga, FBC Sports.
Endurance will be key for Naita Asiri going into battle with Nandi for the Inc. Fiji Rugby Fairbrother Trophy. Coach Dr. Ilaitia Tuisese has made it clear that they do not want a repeat of 2019, where Nandi stripped the Fairbrother title off them in a close 14-10 match at Ratudakambao Park. Vinina Rakautonga has more.
The last 3 minutes of any game is crucial for the Naita Asiri coach.
The game could be won by the bounce of the ball, or the game would go right to the last minute. So the boys are trying to do that in training, to play to the 80 minutes and go all the way to the end and try to get full concentration from them.
Tuisese says they will not just be making up the numbers on Saturday.
We're going in for a fight. We've had the same experience before, defending the cup. It'll be hard. Like I said, we'll surely turn up to play on Saturday.
Nandi Chair Sekove Tuila Kemba says they know what Naita Asiri will bring to the table.
They're the beast. They come up with a lot of options. They have a lot of well-prepared boys that come through HPU. But for us, we have our local boys that came through our Nandi Rugby Club competition.
Naita Asiri travels to Nandi tomorrow to try and wrestle the Fairbrother Trophy from the Jet Setters at 3 p.m. at Prince Charles Park. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Former decathlete and Olympian Albert Miller is calling for the reintroduction of the hurdles and triple jump in all grades at the Coca-Cola Games. The two events were dropped as athletes showed little interest over the years, but Miller believes Fiji has the potential to produce some great athletes in the two events. Caroline Tavi reports.
The triple jump has limited coverage in the Coke Games, while the hurdles are not included at all.
I think the women's events, some of them, the triple jump, I think it's only up to intermediate. I think they need to go down to the younger age group.
Miller says reintroducing these events at all levels of secondary schools athletics competition will help revive the two sports.
I mean, you have to introduce the events, otherwise, you know, it's always something that we dream for, and we need it in the system.
Former athletes like Eunice Bassett says the key to succeed in any sport, whether track or field, is having the right mental fitness.
The main thing was my mental toughness, because coming from a school that wasn't known for the sprint events, that was the big key that was with me, especially the running against ACS and Jasper at that time.
Some hurdlers who have made their mark on the international stage include Chovesa Nevalu and Rachel Rogers. In the triple jump, the only athlete that continues to break barriers is Eugene Volma. Carleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
Taking part in the biggest national athletics meet is a blessing for 14-year-old Joshua Nduvia, who will be competing in the 100, 4x100 meter and high jump events. The Ratu Sukuna Memorial School athlete hopes to create his own legacy in the 2021 Coca-Cola Games and win not one but 3 gold medals for his school. Tali Materakula reports.
The Real native will compete in 3 separate events in the Fiji finals.
I'll just think positive all the time throughout the high jumps, and knowing that I can win the high jump for my school.
While he is familiar with burning the tracks, the high jump event is something new to him.
My great-grandfather was Inoki Bainwal Dudia, and he used to take on the tracks. So I just wanted to follow his footsteps. But instead of taking 200, I would take high jump.
This is coupled with the daily hurdle their relay team is facing.
Because most of the time I always come and train with my coach Balatafo, and it's very difficult for us just to come together and train as a team.
Our coach is usually busy from Monday to Friday, so every afternoon we just train by ourselves with no proper guidance.
The Silver Zone 1 gold medalist is optimistic for a successful outing, but he knows this will be a tussle with competition coming in from athletics giants including Marist Brothers, Natambua High School, RKS and QVS, who are all gunning for the top prize. Tali Materkula, FBC Sports.
And Tailei joins us live now from ANZ Stadium. Tailei, we can almost smell the excitement in the air. How are things building up to the Coke Games?
Yes, Jamie, I can definitely feel the excitement as we are now a week away from the anticipated 2021 Coca-Cola Games. Like this time last year, athletics like other sports, was on a standstill, and athletes have collectively voiced how hungry they were to once again feel that spirit of a school rivalry. Now, schools from the Maritime are expected to arrive soon. Andi Maopa and Vidia High School are already here, gearing up for the Maritime Zone, which will be held on Monday. Now, all grandstand tickets are sold out, and there is still no word so far on whether extra tickets will be available, as the Fiji Sports Commission is still awaiting confirmation from the COVID-19 task force on the proposed 80% capacity for all sporting events. Now, Jamie, by this time next week, thousands of athletes, fans, students, and all scholars will be here at the ANZ Stadium for day one of the Coca-Cola Games. Jamie.
Thank you, Tailei. Adjusting to the artificial turf at the Uprising Beach Resort ground will be a massive challenge for the Nandi football team when they take on Navua this Sunday. The Jet Setters believe this is where Navua will have the upper hand during their Round 5 clash in the Digital Premier League, and they are preparing accordingly. Felipe Naikaso has more.
Nandi is fully aware of how dangerous Navua will be playing on their home turf.
I think this is the first time this year the boys will be playing in their turf. Though we'll not have a lot of advantage, but we'll give our best shot come the game against Navua.
Their training has centered on the artificial ground at Uprising, which will be very different from the natural playing turf. But it's a challenge the side has accepted.
Then again, we have to adjust, and this is one of the league games that obviously we will be playing there. We had to play, so there's no complaints. We have to go with the challenge.
Following a 0-0 draw with Lambasa last week, the team is wanting nothing less than a win in order to put pressure on Lautoka and Rewa, who are at the top of the table.
We respect our team, and they are a good team. They got good, some experienced players.
Nandi will meet Navua on Sunday at 3 p.m. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
Manchester City has reached the Champions League semi-final for only the second time in its history. It will face Paris Saint-Germain in the Final Four, but it wasn't all good news for English teams in Europe. That's it from Sports Tonight. Angie joins you with weather right after the break, but also up ahead a look at some popular snacks from around the world. Listen more coming up.
A big hello to you and welcome to the weather world. We had incredible conditions throughout the day. Your weekend looks fabulous, but Mother Nature has one more trick up her sleeve. You will know that in a while. Well, let's be on the happy part. Just so you know, well, you already know it's Friday tomorrow and things are pretty exciting. But first, let's check out other places in the country. The west was a stunner as usual. There was collection of clouds which got drifted away by winds thanks to good energy there. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, another day of good sunshine beaming through. There is low chance for showers. And up north, this lovely sunshine is winning. It stayed put throughout the day and the week, if I say. Showers are drooling and probably having second thoughts. The town or city we picked today is Suva, Singatoka and Lambasa. Well, Suva and Singatoka had similar conditions. The humidity level had a 10% difference between the two. The afternoon calmed down a bit, so we had a bit of comfort. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, high tide at 9:06 p.m. with low tide at 2:59 a.m. Sunrise at 6:15. For tomorrow, so this is the trick Mother Nature will play. The morning will have nice sunny spells. The afternoon, however, looks to be a little in rain. That's not a good start to the weekend, is it? And looking further on to Saturday, little odd showers for our friends in the eastern areas from Peck Harbour, Suva and Tonosori. So if you're heading out to the stadium to watch the games, just take that umbrella out of the cupboard. Now on to our shot of the day. It is a beautiful early morning shot of Albert Park. What a time to jog around. Remember to send us pictures. It could be of anything, even you having a good time with your family or friends. Send it with a small description to our FBC News Facebook page. That's all from the Weather World after Fijian Pulse. If you love food, then you will see what the food world is up to. That's all with Edwin. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Angie. In Fijian Pulse, we ask, should more CCTV cameras be installed around the country?
I believe that there should be more CCTV cameras put around to stop these borough fights that has been happening around Fiji.
They should put the CC camera so that it will help the police and the community to see the problem and solve the problem. Easy for them to see what is going on. Fighting and everything like that, it will be easy, especially for the police.
There should be more CCTV camera around to protect our public.
I think they shouldn't, because it will bring more fear to the public. And kids nowadays, the generation will be afraid of stepping outside. Like once they step outside, they'll get more afraid.
We've all been stuck and not been able to travel around the world as before, but nothing much has changed with food. And in the world of the weird and the wonderful tonight, we see what food is making headway around the world.
Pandemic's still going on in many parts of the world. It's hard to travel and experience the sights, sounds, and food from all over. But maybe you can bring the food to you. Forbes suggests the brand Boana for popped water lily seeds that are somewhat similar to popcorn. Popular in India, these seeds crunch more than popcorn and have 50% more protein. If you want something maybe a little more sweet, then look no further than the Stroop waffle from the Netherlands. It's a cookie that's a caramel-filled waffle and is recommended to be eaten with coffee, tea, or maybe even used as a waffle cone for ice cream. From Thailand, it's the Power Veggie Bites from Appleton's Market that take only about a minute to heat up. The bites are dairy-free and grain-free, composed of mainly vegetables and herbs grown in Southern California. Men's Journal notes from Mexico, it's the pseudo-cousin to spicy Cheetos, Takis, which are little rolled-up taquitos that come in all sorts of spicy flavors, like salsa brava and fuego chili pepper.
And recapping our main stories, if you've not been jabbed, prepare for delays. Health Ministry gives Fijians reassurance, and Tambuya ready to work with Rambuka in 2022. For these stories and others, you can tune into our sister station Gold FM. To our poll question, this week we are asking, is bullying an issue that needs to be reported to police? Visit our FBC News website to answer. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. We're also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also download our app to keep updated with the very latest news and sports, and also listen to our 6 radio stations. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modamanda.